Hey y'all, it's Kareem Monet. Welcome back to my channel. If you hear my baby, yes. If you hear my son, he's up. What's new? Today's video is going to be basically like my testimony. I don't know if I'm going to do a part 1 and part 2. We'll see. You should see by the title at least. But I have been trying to really focus on my walk with God. I have definitely backslid a little bit a couple times, but I'm really taking it serious this go around, especially after my brain surgery. So I've been really trying to take it seriously, especially changing certain things about my life and like certain behaviors and actions. So I think I actually want to take you guys on that journey with me. So I tell a lot of people, and people that actually know me, like personally, know that my whole life has been a testimony since the moment that I was born. That's where we're going to start. I guess if this is 2 parts, I probably will make this 2 parts, but this will be my childhood from birth and all that stuff. So like a little summary about my birth story from the best of my knowledge. My grandfather calls me his miracle baby, and that is because when I was born, my mother, first of all, my due date was the 24th of December. My mom's water broke on Christmas at around 11 something, and I wasn't born until 2:31 p.m. the next day. So within that time frame, me trying to enter this world, I actually swallowed some type of fluid. I also have my notes right here so I don't forget anything. But I swallowed some type of fluid, obviously that I was not supposed to swallow. As soon as I came out, the doctors immediately took me and started working on me. So my grandfather, he actually asked them, because I was actually born in a Christian hospital, or religious hospital, called Mary Immaculate. And so my grandfather had asked them if he could just lay his hands on me and pray, and they agreed, and he did that. So they had told my parents that I wasn't going to make it through the night. I wasn't going to see December 27th. That's when my grandfather started praying. So obviously I did, because here I am. And then they started to say, well, she's going to have some form of autism. From the best of my knowledge, I don't have autism. I don't have autism. That was that's one of my biggest testimonies in my like entire life. It's one that my family says all the time because they just, so grateful for it. But as well as I am. But I actually had the opportunity to meet the doctor that delivered me because she delivered my little brother, one of my little brothers. And my mom was able to let her know who I was. And she was just like, wow, like, that's really beautiful. Like, she wasn't shocked because, like I said, this is a Christian hospital. But it was just like a really nice moment to be able to meet her. And she actually became my OBGYN. There was gonna be a chance that she delivered my baby, but she didn't get to, but that's okay. I ended up having to be in the hospital for a amount of time and going back to the hospital because I did develop asthma. And there were, I believe 2 times, if I'm not mistaken, where my mom was holding me as a baby and I just completely stopped breathing in her arms. And right then and there, she would start praying. The devil has literally been trying to take me out, okay? Whatever my purpose is in this world, it's like he has been constantly trying to deter me from whatever I am supposed to be doing. Especially now, like just all the attacks that I've been getting. And, he doesn't necessarily attack or constantly attack people that he knows he already got. You know what I mean? He tries to constantly attack people that are trying to walk with God and do the right things. That's when those are the ones he really be attacking for real. And he has been oh my gosh, my entire life. Eventually, I did grow out of asthma. Asthma is a chronic disease, but you know, I grew out of it around when I was a toddler. So, you know, we didn't have any problems with that anymore. So then here we are in my actual childhood. And I can sit here and tell you the first time I remember being sexualized by the male species. I've always been sexualized by boys and men, and it's never really anything that I was doing, because, you know, Black girls, we are hypersexualized. Black girls, Black women, we're hypersexualized, and you know, it's not our fault. Like, I mean, we look good, but it's like, it's just weird. It's just so weird. And so I was around, I want to say the age of 6, like around that. And I remember I was with my mom and my aunt, and we were in Boston Market, if you know what that is. We were in Boston Market, and I was standing, my mom was ahead of us. I was standing in between her and my aunt. And I did, hold on. So I remember standing in between my mom and my aunt, and my mom never dressed me like grown. I did notice the guy, he would, because you know, like, okay, if you know how Boston Market is, stop it, Luca. It's built like the line is built like Chipotle. So he's ahead of us in the line, and while he's supposed to be ordering his food, he's looking back at me, and he kept looking back at me. Like, it wasn't like an innocent, he looked back, saw me, turned back around. He was repeatedly looking back at me, and my aunt caught him doing it, and she just, you know, grabbed my arm, pulled me behind her, and the guy obviously noticed that, and he stopped looking at me. And that has stayed in my mind, like, obviously my entire life, because it was just so uncomfortable. Just being gawked at is just, like, not a good feeling. Like, men don't even be realizing how, and I don't know how, like, they don't be realizing how creepy they're being. So yeah, being sexualized has always been a thing for me, obviously from my story times. And, you know, that obviously had an effect on my mental health as well eventually. Everything that I'm about to talk about had an effect on my mental health. So hence it being part of my testimony. So I also dealt with my first bullies being my family members. You know, in our community, we deal with a lot of adults telling us, yes, that's you, I know. Just adults telling us to stay in a child's place when they obviously been disrespecting us, and they just say the most meanest, harshest things to you as a kid. And it's like, how anybody stop? It's like, how can you talk to a kid that way and make fun of them the way that you do? A specific bully that first comes to mind is my grandmother's sister, who I made that story time about, that had hit me. She is the first person that comes to mind every single time when I think about my first bully. And she would tell me things like I mentioned in that video. She would tell me things like you're getting fat, and she would tell me, my brothers, and our cousins, wash your paws, and would, you know, refer to us like we were dogs. And she would purposely do little things to kind of like antagonize us. And it would end in us getting in trouble for whatever reason. Like, we literally weren't doing anything. Y'all could tell he was breastfed. Like, I know y'all know he was breastfed, but y'all could tell he was breastfed. Obviously, I also did not just have family bullies. I also had actual, like, bullies outside of the house. I had bullies in school. You know, I was always like the new kid in school because of my dad being in the military and us moving like literally almost every 2 years. And sometimes I wouldn't even move out of the state. I would just move to a different school. And so I remember specifically my very, very first time being bullied outside of the house. And I was so young, and it's like, I can laugh at it now, but it's like you got to teach your kids to be good people, because obviously those girls picked that up from somewhere, because we were literally like, how old was I? In kindergarten. And so after school, I would go to daycare, because my mom was a daycare teacher, and whatever daycare she worked at, that's where me and my brother Ricky would go to, and William, when he was old enough. So we would go to daycare. This specific daycare I was not a fan of. We weren't even there long, apparently. It felt like so long for me, but I had recently talked to my mom about it. She was like, we were only there for like a couple weeks. I was like, it felt like so long to me. And because I hated it that much, and I just never wanted to go there. And I can't even remember exactly why I didn't want to go there. I'm just blaming it on like an energy thing, because I really don't remember why. But I would notice that these kids would get away with the tantrums and stuff, right? So I'm a very smart girl. So I started like watching them and picking up on some of the things, because obviously me saying I don't want to go here won't do nothing, right? So I would pick up on how they would throw their tantrums. And one day I threw the biggest tantrum. I was right at the door trying to get out the door. I guess they had locked the door, so I couldn't escape, obviously, right? Because beforehand, all they would do was send me to the front desk, right? And they had, the little cots, and they would make me lay there instead of just sending me to my mom, right? So I was having like this big meltdown. When I tell you I deserve an Oscar, a Grammy for it, like I ate that down, okay? And I was throwing this big tantrum, and all the kids were just staring at me. And two girls specifically I noticed was staring at me. One was one of them was half of that. But I thought, her being half of me, I thought she was gonna be, but after I threw that tantrum, I want to say like a couple days later, I'm playing with them, and they're playing with me, like they're seeming like really nice, right? Then the half and half girl, she looks at me and she's like, do you think that we're your friends? And I say, yeah. Like, I didn't even like hesitate. I was like, yeah. And then she looked at the other girl, and they just started laughing. So obviously as a kid, like that hurts, I'm in kindergarten, and these girls, like it was real Mean Girl, like that. It was like their first Mean Girl moment or something. And that's what made me really hate that characteristic of people. Like, why would you go out of your way to make somebody feel bad, It was almost like it was calculated, you know what I mean? Like, we're in kindergarten. Where did you learn this? Obviously, like, your parents, but like that is insane to me. And I couldn't help but think, like, as I got older, like, okay, the location I used to live, Fort Hood, Texas, which is in Killeen, Texas. Killeen is very racist. So I really feel like that is why. Because little Stacey Dash, she was just like, I don't know, like, it was given she has a white mom, and her mom like talks about black people in front of her. Like, that's what their energy just gave. Like, because if you know anything about Fort Hood or like Killeen, Texas, like Killeen literally stands for kill each and every nigga. So that's where I was living. That's why I think that it was also racially, it was intentional like that. So the bullying didn't stop there, like I said, I'm always the new girl. So my next real memory of being bullied was when we officially moved back to Virginia. I was like in second grade when it actually started. I was in second grade. Apparently there was a boy, and you know, we're so young, and there was a boy that all the little girls liked. You know, he was really, really, really handsome. And all the little girls liked him. When I came, they were so upset because he would talk about me all the time. Apparently, he knew of me from first grade, and he would see me. And that's when the hatred of the girls started with me, but it officially started like them actually doing and saying things in second grade. And I was just like, bro, why do they hate me so much? And I find out it's over this boy. And I'm like looking back at it now, it's like, bro, we are little kids. What did y'all think was gonna happen? We like, we're babies, like in second grade. And they would just do and say the meanest things. I had my first frenemy from that situation. It actually made me cry sometimes, getting bullied by them, because like kids say the meanest things, and it was just so much. I'm not even gonna get into it because I don't want to make these videos long, but like, you know, we know how these kids be, right? We're getting into a time where my parents, I really start to notice them arguing all the time, right? This is when I'm starting to pick up on it, because, you know, I am the oldest, and I'm noticing it like becoming like a more like almost everyday thing. And, you know, me being the oldest, being the eldest daughter, I would always like kind of try to shield my brothers. I know they've seen things too, but like I would try to shield my brothers. I would take them in my room all the time, play with them, and that's why I was doing it. My parents are both, to this day, unhealed. They have not healed from, you know, their own personal traumas and things like that, and it's very prevalent, you know. You know, a lot of the time I can't really blame them, but sometimes I also think like, you know, you're aware of your trauma and you're not effectively trying to take accountability for some of the things that you do because of your trauma, and trying to learn from it and grow from it, and not continue those same things, passing it on to to me and my brothers. And so that's where a lot of my animosity with them came from, because it's like, you know, especially now being grown, I'm like I cannot imagine doing those things to my baby. So not saying that they were bad parents, that they were just like, you know, because I'm not trying to minimize my experience at all, but there are some crazy parents out there. So I'm not trying to say that. It's just, you know, some things just like, you know, I even the way I speak to my son, even though like I do get frustrated sometimes, I don't like to speak to him in a certain way, right? Or call him certain things, you know? So my parents are going through their separation and divorce. And I actually didn't really remember the timeline of everything, but I do remember I was in 4th grade and I found, you know, I was sorting the laundry. That was one of my chores, just sorting the laundry. And I'm moving my dad's pants out the way. I think it was like his work pants or something. And out his pocket falls a letter, like a piece of paper. And I open up the paper. I'm trying to see, like, you know, where it was from, because at first I didn't realize that it fell out of his pants pocket. So I'm trying to figure out what it is so I can, you know, properly do whatever I need to do, right? And I started reading the letter, and I quickly realized that it's a love letter from another woman, and it was literally a page long, like a full page long. And she's writing this love letter to my dad. And in a nutshell, I'm not going to say everything that was in the letter because I still remember, but in a nutshell, what made me give the letter to my mom was she was talking about how she couldn't wait to raise her 7 children, or their 7 children, because my dad has 4, she had 3. She couldn't wait to raise their 7 children together. And yeah, I gave my mom the letter. I said, this is what I found. I gave it to her. And that was what officially made my mom get up and leave. And the reason why that's a part of my trauma is pretty obvious. I found a love letter written to my dad, and I found out that my dad was the guy that he was, you know? And that actually broke my heart because I was a daddy's girl, and I thought so highly of him. That really broke my heart, and I didn't feel like my mom deserved that either. A lot of the arguing and things that we've seen, it was starting to make so much sense now. Because, like I said, I'm not a dumb girl. I personally feel like there was just a lot of things that me and my brother seen that we should not have been able to see, especially that young. And, you know, being the eldest daughter, going back to that, I feel like I had to grow up, including because of my trauma, but I felt like I had to grow up so like quickly. I feel like I had to like grow up and mature a lot quicker, and I didn't have an actual time to develop in the way that I should have as a child, mentally. There were just things that I didn't get to. I feel like in a way it stunted me mentally. Not saying, because like I said, like I had to mature quickly, but there was just certain childhood things I should have been able to experience mentally. Does that make sense? Like, and I didn't get that opportunity to do so. And being the eldest daughter, it was a lot of, you know, certain type of responsibilities being put on me. And I would have to like babysit my brothers. I remember one time, again, my mom cooked and cleaned and all that, my dad too. But there were times where like I would have to do that. And I remember one time I was 8 years old. A friend of my mom's came in the house and she saw me cooking breakfast. And like looking back at that now, it's like I have an 8-year-old brother right now, and I can't imagine him cooking no breakfast. I'm sorry. I can't imagine him cooking no breakfast, but I was. And she was like, oh, you cooking breakfast for everybody? And I was like, yeah. And I said it like it was a normal thing. And I was like confused as to why she was so shocked about it. But I was like, yeah, I'm cooking breakfast. And I feel like I should have been able to, like, if I wanted to help my mom, okay. But I feel like I was kind of forced to do those kind of things and not allowed to like properly be a kid, like low key. I would have to like, I don't know, there was a lot of sacrifices I even made as a kid, like for my brothers that they don't even know about. And I would never like hold that over their head, but it's just like certain things that I told my mom, like, hey, do this for them, I'll be fine. It's been a few times where I did that. Sometimes it's like we don't necessarily get recognition, and like there was plenty of times where I'm literally just being a sister. I'm not trying to be nobody's mom or whatever, but I was getting told, you're not their parent and this and that. And it's like, I'm not trying to be their parent, but like you dead wrong right now. Even my own brothers didn't really realize the things that I would have to do. And yeah, that was like, dang, man, like I had to miss out on a lot of things even as a teenager, which I'll get to that. But like it was just like a lot of things I had to miss out on, like my friends being able to do certain things, and it's like, no, I can't do that because I have brothers at home. Not I have kids at home, but I have brothers at home. Like they are my kids. Like and you know, by my first fight, because I've said in one of my previous videos that I don't like to fight, because I don't even like being in that space. I don't like to be upset. I don't like to be angry. It's like mentally that's so much. Like today I had a day today, and it stopped me from doing other things, other obligations, because it was just a lot today. I don't even like being in that headspace. So when I got in my first fight, I was like, wow, like I really just just fought somebody. And that's not even in my character. And my character started to drastically change from that point, like around that time. And it's not even from like a scary standpoint. Like, I'm not scary. I'm not scared of people. I don't scare easy. It's just, that's just not who I am. And that's not who I want to be. That's not what I want to be known for. My mom gets with my old stepfather, the one that I made a video about. And, you know, that whole situation happened. I have that story time about that, so I'm not going to go into that deeply. But, you know, that whole situation is what really, like, catapulted my depression into, like, the depths that it was in, you know. And that's, you know, that's kind of crazy to think about. Like, I'm in 6th grade at this point, and I'm dealing with depression and suicidal ideations. Like, that's a lot. That is so, like, that's so heavy. So, you know, there was actually a time where after him and my mother married, and even like that situation, oh man, when they married, his mother and majority of his family did not like my mom. And his mother actually, they're from the Virgin Islands. She does witchcraft. Whenever she doesn't like something, doesn't like someone, she goes and does it. And what a lot of people don't realize is that stuff is not something to play with. Me growing up Christian, I always knew that, you know, you don't play with those certain things. And if you're willing to do it, also be willing to lose things in the process. And when I say lose things in the process, I mean you lose them as in death. So she had such a problem with my mom. She went to somebody in the islands trying to put something on my mother and her firstborn. My mom, that's when she started to like lose a lot of weight. And my mom is already really skinny. And she just started to look sick. She started to lose a lot of weight looking sick. And then me, that's when, you know, my depression and my suicidal ideations began. My mom, you know, we didn't know why. And then my mom, she gets found by someone on Facebook, I believe she said. And it was my old stepfather's ex-girlfriend from high school. And she was telling my mom, she was like, you know, hey, are you married to him? My mom was like, yeah. She starts to tell my mom about how his mother went to some place and tried to put something on us. She said exactly what was being done. And she, the reason she knows about it is because those people went to her grandmother and said, hey, does your granddaughter still go with this man? Because his mother just came in here and tried to put something on whoever he is currently with. And we refused it because we thought that, you know, your granddaughter was still with him. She said, no, my granddaughter's not with him. So she let her granddaughter know about it. And she found my mom through social media. She told my mom about it. She was like, hey, my grandmother and I are willing to help you get this off of you. His mother actually went to someone else to get it done. Yeah, that happened. Quick little summary of that. That happened. And, you know, my depression and suicidal ideations were still there, though. I wasn't trying to do anything, but I had a whole plan on how I would do it, you know? And my mom, when she started to realize what was going on with me, instead of changing how she was acting, she would just try and hide knives and scissors and things like that. And if you know anything about me, girl, I don't play with sharp things like that, okay? I'm scary in that sense, okay? I don't play with sharp things like that. I don't like when I was watching 13 Reasons Why, girl, I had to look away. When she did it, I had to look away. I don't play with that. I had an idea. The stuff that, the way I was going to do it, I had easy access to. And that's something my mom never knew. I had easy access to. because my periods are like, it feels like sometimes everybody else's periods are down here and mine is up here for whatever reason. So obviously I took medicine for that. So I had easy access to, if I was going to do it. That's when I started to, like I said, my character changed. So I became the disrespectful child. I was no longer the well-behaved kid or whatever that I was known to be. That's when I started to actually start sticking up for myself, just a little bit more, right? I changed in a way that I didn't necessarily respect myself. Like I would, back to being sexualized, I would just let guys like talk to me any kind of way instead of like checking them, like how I would, right? It was just like a whatever type of thing. It's like, and I would like put like word curses on my life, and like other people put word curses on my life. Like it was so, that time of my life was just so dark, and nobody was trying to see that. Again, in our community, mental health is not, it's so taboo. It's not a thing that they like to discuss. It's not a thing that they seem to believe in, but it's a thing. And instead of like trying to get me the help that I needed, they just called me so many different things. And it's like, I'm not that. It's like, you're not looking at what is causing me to, because it's like nothing clicked. And when I became an adult and I started like looking at other adults, it really made me realize how dumb adults are. Not even trying to be like harsh, but like how dumb they are, or I'll say ignorant. And they really are. And they try to act like they know it all. And they would try and tell me like what they think it is, and it's like, no, I'm very good at communicating. I'm good at communicating how I'm feeling, and it's like, no, this is what is going on with me. But nobody was listening. I'm now all of a sudden hard-headed, disrespectful, grown, and it's like, why is nobody sitting here and thinking, well, why did Karima just switch like that? Right? Why did she go from this kind of child to this kind of child? Just like that. They just immediately just started judging, And I felt like nobody was in my corner at all. At all. And only people that was really in my corner, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but like the only people that was really in my corner were my white friends, because they talk to their parents like that anyway, right? And even then, I still wasn't like talking to my parents like all the way how they would. Like I was not doing that. So that really caused me to have a lot of mommy issues. I had a lot of mommy issues, daddy issues, but mainly mommy issues. And I feel like that was a generational thing, because she has mommy issues, and it got passed on, whether intentional or not. It got passed on to me, because she continued those same patterns. And when I would tell her that, she just wasn't seeing it. She wasn't hearing me. So, like real quick to respond and not actually listen and understand. So I was having a lot of mommy issues, and it caused me to say a lot of things that I don't actually want to happen, but I was just so angry, just filled with anger. I just didn't know how to, like, how am I supposed to know how to be emotionally mature and know how to, like, I knew how to communicate my feelings, but I didn't know how to control my anger. How am I supposed to know that if I wasn't taught that? My mom doesn't know how to do that. My grandma doesn't know how to do that. I never got to meet my great grandmother. But how am I supposed to know how to do those things if I was never taught that? And then to give a little bit more context, my grandmother is Caribbean. She's half Caribbean, we know how those women get down. They are so angry sometimes. So it's like it's like nobody was really looking at the big picture. Like I was doomed from the beginning. Like so I'm having to learn now. And now in this moment in my life, I'm having to learn how to reverse all of that. Because I refuse to pass it on. I refuse to pass it on. My mommy issues like was really something really like big for me. And it was just something like I just want, like I'm looking at my friends' relationships with their mothers, and that's what I want. Like I want a mom that she can compliment me all the time, like kind of build me up like that, or just like she's calm, she's gentle with me. Only praised on social media. A lot of the time in real life, I was always spoken to like I was a bad kid. But even now, today, if you ask anyone, including my mother, she would tell you, and they would tell you that I was a good kid. But I wasn't spoken to like I was a good kid in real life. And I just never felt like that. You know what I mean? And again, not her fault. But at the same time, you know that you are doing this. Like I don't know. Like I try to give our parents grace, because sometimes they just don't even realize. But it's like when your children are telling you, this is what is happening, this is how I feel, and you're just being completely dismissive. That's hurtful, so there was a lot of things that I was like, I'm not going to pass on when I become a mother. And I think I'm really standing on business with that. I mean, I think I'm doing kind of good. Then my abandonment issues started to arise as well because, like I said, I have daddy issues. Now, my dad, he's in my life, okay? He's not one of them. He's in my life, but at the same time, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but he was in my life and also absent in certain ways. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. It's like after my parents got divorced, it's like my dad just like, I don't know. He let the situation between him and my mother get in the way of his relationship with me and my brothers. And just doing little things. And I'm saying all of this as a witness, not even he say, she say, like nothing like my mom put things in our head, none of that. This is stuff that we witnessed, like little things being done in spite of my mom, and it directly affected my brothers and I. And one of those things is like just, not feeling like our dad is going to be there. There's been times where I needed my dad for certain things and he didn't show up. Even like, and I mean like things like even just support, like just be there, and he didn't show up because of my mother. I know my mom is a hothead. I know that. But personally, nothing's getting in the way of me supporting this little boy. There's nothing getting in the way of me being there for this little boy. So I just felt like, yo, why can't you just... It went from all of my friends knowing exactly who both of my parents are, knowing exactly who my dad is when they see him, because my dad would come to all the field trips. He was that dad. To in high school, nobody really knew who my dad was. If they would have seen my dad, they would have been like, oh, they would just walk right past. They don't know who he is. They knew just my mom. And I noticed that as a teenager, I was like, wow. I was talking to my friends, to my group of friends, and I realized, we was on the subject of my dad. Nothing bad or anything. who was on the subject of my dad. And they was like, you know, we never seen your dad before. I was like, wow. But people that knew me before, they know who my dad is. Until this day, they probably, if they was to see him, they wouldn't realize it, that it was him, you know? But this is going into the part 2, so see y'all in that part 2.